if there are things you don't want to say, because it'll be out there on YouTube, um, or if you don't want your face to be seen, your name to be seen, just to let you know, that's my plan. Yeah, good. Good to see you all. And there's Channel. Hi, Channel.
There's the
Well,
New Zealand contact.
uh, say it again, Jen.
There's the New Zealand contact
That's
because
right.
Michael was asking, yeah.
Across the globe. Well, so we've been meeting. This is our 10th week through this and have done a variety of things over this time. And now that we're a couple weeks out from the election, is it only a couple weeks? Is that true? Anyway, I thought it might be good to just find out basically what's coming up and probably use SEW to support anything that's coming up. So you everyone but Suzanne might know. I don't know, Michael, if you remember SEW. I'm going to just flash it on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll put it in the chat. Um, oh, there's my Japanese. Can you see the inner map? I'll make that go away in a second. What can you see? Oh, no. um, I just want to show you the inner map, which now has Japanese on it. Do you see that? Anyway. Uh,
And
but showing you SEW. So I want to make sure, can you see the SEW handout that I'm flashing on the screen? All right. So this is
yes.
a process that I've developed and use over and over and over again, like in term, like pretty much anytime I'm leading a group, we start with this. Since not everyone knows what this is, I'm not going to start with this, but I am going to use it as we talk. So basically the
I
idea,
do know I
oh,
do know what it is.
oh, go, way to go, Suzanne. Yeah, and Hannah. Great. So that I'll apply this and just so you know, that's what I'm going to be leaning in on, I imagine. But let's find out. Does anybody want to just step in and say how you're doing post-election?
Well, I'm personally doing terrible.
Well, I'm glad you're here, Suzanne. Tell us more.
Well, I didn't want the person who's been elected to be elected, and I feel like he's being extremely irresponsible with how he's handling things right now, and it's really frustrated. I'm worried about my grandkids, my great grandkids, you know. So I realize there's nothing I really can do about it. And I've been trying to not argue with people if they have different views. I just keep my mouth shut, but I don't agree with them.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So terrible. So note to me, probably I'll come back, Suzanne, and to you and ask you more about the terrible part. But anybody else want to chime in about how you're doing at this point? Now, I love that we've got people internationally. So, Michael, right, you're up in Canada, Australia, New Zealand. So, thanks you all for being out there. But anything that any of you want to say about anything coming up? Yeah, Laura.
I I am basically sitting with what is and saying, okay, this is what is.
Mm.
And and from here, how can I get feeling better?
Mhm. Okay.
Still being aware that yes, this is what is, but I get to choose how I feel. So that's where I am.
And would you be willing to say a little bit more about that you're not doing better? I mean, like where are you in terms of your own experience of like we could say where are you on the
Well, I
map?
notice that as I read news and stuff like that, I'll go "Ugh," down.
Mhm.
But I believe there's an incredible momentum of love and I don't believe the world is a bad place. So for me to go there and say, oh yeah, this is an aberration. And as he moves forward and we collectively see what really is happening, I think we've seen a little bit of it anyway, that collectively Republicans maybe are not quite as behind him as it looked like just by who they chose for Speaker of the House. And I take heart in that. And I think, okay, I need to maintain my belief in humanity. And that's what I do. Yeah, we're all okay. We're all okay. It's happened, but we're okay.
Okay. So he's really sounds a little like mind over matter, like no, really, we're okay. Really trying to
Yeah.
stay with your beliefs, your core belief systems.
Mhm.
Okay. Anybody else? Just tell us how you're doing. Marcia.
Um, I'm fine, and I think I will be hard pressed to ever trust the people who voted for Trump. So it's just hard for me to think of them on my team. I know I say this every week,
That's why we keep meeting every week.
and I don't know that I think the world is good. So I'm glad Laura said that, because I was like, I don't actually think it sounds good, but the world keeps proving to not be. Overall humanity keeps proving to be itself. However, I get that if I stand there, I'm not part of the solution. So in that sense, I can keep going and do the practices and the so and whatever to keep myself being an agent of change through my being. But man, that is such an intellectual, that's not a natural soul. That is not, mm, I mean, I want to do that, so I'm not defeated. I don't know how else to say this. I just don't think that even that will allow me to keep generating myself as someone who trusts, even if it's less than 50% of the American population. I will tolerate them till they wake the fuck up. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. And I will be kind to their face and I'll generate myself, but I don't trust them. I would never have them on my team. Do you know, that's how I feel. Like their judgment is, I don't want them on my team. So it's just hard for me, Jules. I feel like the practices will get me managing myself moment to moment, which is really all there is to do. But I keep wanting a sustainable orientation. I don't have love and compassion anyway, I'm going on and on.
I appreciate you going on and on. Yep. Again, that's why we keep meeting, because well, for me, if I look out, and especially whatever's getting my attention, then I tend to be very it's sort of like my moods tend to shift around like the wind. And I think the whole message of these meetings is power is here. Power is here. It's not out there, even though it looks like it's out there. And I could make a lot of arguments to say, oh no, really, but look at the people, with the laws, but still the context here is that's actually not helpful to any of us, as in our species. It's about what's going on in here. And that's a hard hard thing to sort of describe or make more sense. But when we get to actually applying the SEW today, I think maybe it'll start to, I mean, every single one of us who've done that process is like, oh yeah, I remember now. But when I forget, I mean, over and over, it sure doesn't look like that. It doesn't make any sense. So in other words, let's walk through that process and see if that makes sense to you. Bill, I want to just, since we've got a small group, I just want to see Jen, Shannon, Michael, do you want to say anything else or add anything of your experience?
Just noticed I'm not muted.
Good.
So I've noticed a few things. One is I did not want to look at the results 2 weeks ago. As it turned out, the day before the election, I got called as a prospective jury member
Oh.
for a murder case here in our tiny little town.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like, oh, please, no, no, don't. And I was not picked. But then the next day was the election. And in previous years, I have, it's like, oh, let me find a channel where they're record. And it was like, I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't really want. And then the next morning I got up and I had a deluge of emails saying, I can support you. Let's talk. I know it looks dark, and I thought, oh shit,
Right.
I know what happened. And since then I have noticed how I've gotten back into an old habit of beginning to imagine the sinkhole and then how it could get worse and worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, whoa, what? But I have to catch myself, and I haven't done this for a long time.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, oh, there's something inviting about this, I'm going to say this context that I think really promoted the election win of you've got to fight. You've got to fight for your side. And and it was like, yeah, no, I left that years ago. But boy, is it ever inviting right now. So I will find, yeah, with my jaw clenched, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just remembering now these, I'm gonna call them violent outbursts. Like I'll drop a spoon in the kitchen, and it's like, swear, swear, swear. How could you be so swear? And it's like, wait, whoa, hold on, you just dropped a spoon. Just but anyway, so there's something about this event and how it's been, let me say, portrayed that seems to be triggering old patterns in me
Mm-hmm.
that I let go of because I did not find they were working for me. They were exhausting me. Um, and right, your power versus force. Um, yeah, that was a huge learning for me. That, oh, I've got a choice here, and they are different. Um, so that's been the big thing. The other is, I'm going to call it perspective, but I remember the first time there was an election win by this person. It was like, I was amazed that sort of almost immediately, and then a year or two in, it drew out this amazing response from people who said, "Oh, wow, okay, this is serious. And so I'm going to put my energy in something that I think really works." So in a way, it acted as a catalyst for that. And, again, I've seen a lot of evidence of that going on. This gathering is an example. And without the election, would I have shown up here today? I'm
Right.
going to say no.
Right. Yeah.
So I remember Gay Hendricks talking one time about we have exhales and we have inhales. And on an exhale, you'll feel contraction and etc. And it's necessary for there to be an inhale.
Yeah.
And so it's not like one's, anyway, it was like, oh, okay, there's another context for me. And then finally, I watched a documentary, I think it's on Apple TV, and it's called Music That Changed the World in 1971.
Oh. Huh.
And what they show is, and I remember the early 70s, the world was falling apart. The Vietnam War was going on. They had a liar in the president's seat, who also was, a schemer. All kinds of horrible things were going on through the FBI because there was a certain individual in there. Anyway, it was just like, oh yeah, that was a dark time. I remember thinking, oh, is there a way out of this? So anyway, it's not the same. And for me, that's another aspect of this is viewing it in a context and wondering about how I can shift the context first for me, but then for a wider audience.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Channel Jen, either of you want to say anything?
I'm appreciating, just so appreciating people's comments and their expressions and how honest it feels. I guess I've been a little distracted with a couple of other things, and Julie, like when you were saying, if I'm looking out there, then I notice my stomach becomes very clenched, my jaw, I feel like I can feel my heart rate going and things like that. And then just remembering to come back to the SCW. Oh, okay, what's the perceived threat? Well, right now there isn't a perceived threat, right here. Yeah, and I mean, that question for me, that comes up, what does this remind me of? So I appreciate Michael speaking about, oh, this reminds me of the 70s and, that situation.
Right.
So what does this remind me of? And I found that really helpful too, because it has nothing to do with the current situation. And it's old stuff. And I go, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, maybe I want to go and move that energy and see what happens. So I found that really helpful.
Great.
And being here.
Right. Something about connection. I'm one of the things I'm taking from this shift is, oh, just connection. I don't know how many times I've used that word in the last 2 weeks, but the necessity of community and connection, that any of us alone, whatever personal hell we might have been inhabiting, it's easy, well, I'll speak for myself, easy to stay there, but then not so easy as soon as I'm remembering I'm not alone. That, back into community and contact Oh, this is me doing arm in arm. That's what I'm doing. You can't see. Your arms are over here, elbow to elbow, right? That in connection and community, we're back in it again. Like we can remind each other. We don't have to just hold it ourselves as, can I maintain this, as much as, all right, we can do this in community. So a big bonus from me.
Just to add, I was in New Plymouth this weekend with my dad and some extended family, and my nephew's going through his phone and he's just relaying who's gone into what position in cabinet, and because I actually do this, and that's my protective mechanism. I just stop tuning into it because yeah. Um, Yeah, and my dad was sharing a newspaper article in the New Plymouth paper about the significant increase in applications for people from the States looking at moving to New Zealand. Yeah, so he was sharing that statistic, and then he pipes up to everyone and just says, "Well, thank goodness we live where we do." And like I hear that at one level, and at another level I don't, because I feel like we are all one and we are connected, and whatever someone does somewhere has a ripple effect everywhere else. Yeah. Um, and so I kind of I want to be here because I want to be here um in support of others who are feeling it perhaps more intensely because it's right on, living with. Um, and I'm really encouraged by how people in this community and other communities I know, it really feels like making an effort to lead from love. That's the thing that just keeps inspiring me again and again and again. And I know that that's good for each of us. That's good for our bodies, and it's good for our planet. It's good for all of us. So I had a friend say and she's American, and she said, it's just reminded me that we've got to really, really clean the fry pan before we can create something new. And like what Michael said, what came out of it last time, that people were motivated to act to create something different. Yeah.
Love that. Clean the frying pan.
Mm.
Christy. I'm going to my photos to see if I can find this one thing that you may have seen. I don't know. Hang on, give me a moment. It's a meme. I don't know if I saved it or not. I did. So you might have seen this. I'll share it. So somebody asked AI. You seen this? Oh, wait, where did it go? Wait, I don't want to. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm going to stop the share. I don't know what my computer just decided to do, but I'm going to go get the meme again. Come back.
I wanted to
So
see what else was
somebody,
on your phone, Julie.
pardon me.
Said I wanted to see what else was on your
Oh, what else
phone.
is on my phone? Well, we could do that later. So isn't this fun that somebody is thought to ask this?
Mm.
How can humanity become wiser as a species, reach our full potential, and come together to solve the many problems we are now experiencing? Like, yay, that somebody, and look at this. This is what ChatGPT said. Now, the thing about, well, what do I know about ChatGPT? But at least I can surmise that it is this, what we end up with is as a result of everything we've put in, right? All the data that it's eating up and eating up and eating up from humanity. Now it's putting out there as an answer. So that's interesting to see. Well, ChatGPT knows what we need to do. Like, and look at what's on that list. Critical thinking, systems thinking, we're talking about that. Emotional intelligence, promote collaborative leadership models, which is really what we're talking about here, I'd say. Open dialogue, value well-being, like the things. And then number 10, look at that, cultivate inner transformation and mindfulness practices. Now that's what ChatGPT is saying. It's not just like a sort of a nice bouldery kind of woo-woo. It's saying, no, that's what we need to be doing in order to evolve as a species, to hit that highest potential. So love to see that. Christy, we all have checked in. I don't know if you feel like it. I know you're late to the party, but do you want to say anything about your experience of the election at this point or post-election? It's up to you. You don't have to.
Thank you. Yeah, I think what I have been experiencing is renewed motivation for connection. Yeah, and alongside fear and anger a lot.
Other stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a nice. EPI has offered a nice opportunity for me to direct that towards really like sharing those tools with other people and being in a space of shifting. And so yeah, I feel fueled.
Great. Fueled. Well, so I wanted to spend a couple minutes establishing context again, as we've been doing, but just kind of help us all on this, be on the same general page. And I'm going to use the Japanese inner map. I'm so tickled. So I don't know if everybody has seen my inner map, but Hiroko, one of our students, decided to present this to a Japanese group. And so it came out with it. I'm just tickled. But without getting too distracted by all the Japanese characters, although they're so beautiful, right? Anyway, to reestablish the context, and thanks, Michael, for talking about power versus force. That's David Hawkins' map of consciousness. And in fact, if anybody wants to read something that might support you to feel better, along with all the other stuff I'm trying to keep, do you want to stay prized on cabinet picks? I don't know, you could. Anyway, but to really get that his context, that yay, thank you to David Hawkins, he talked about this reactive brain stuff. He called this force. He called this power. I'm continue to be delighted and grateful that I ever stumbled on his book. I can remember the old days. I don't even know how long ago, but there were stacks and stacks of his book at Barnes and Noble. And I thought, what is this? So thank you to him. But that he said, if you're in force, which is the same thing as reactive brain, which is the same thing as threat reactivity, right? How much of my last couple of weeks have I been in this? Well, some amount of time. Well, it doesn't actually get better unless we move back to this. What happens when we're in this field of force is we generate counterforce. So in other words, if I'm mad, and then I'm in a whole field of an energy field of counter anger, like that's just what's going to happen. What are you doing? Well, what are you doing? Unless I can sort of overcome the other person, and then they're scared because I got so big and mean or whatever. So to start to see that everything below the line, it's exhausting. So what Michael said, it's really, really tiring because we use up a lot of adrenaline and cortisol, and it's really hard on us to stay in that. So this is a lot of why I'm doing this weekly call right now, because this is not good for us, y'all. Even if it might make sense, even it's like, okay, at least I'm mad, so I'm going to go do something. Well, yeah, that works for a while. But the conscious, sustainable activism of this says, yeah, but you're hanging out in a marinade of stress chemicals. So then power is flow, power is alignment, power is connection with all that is. As soon as we're back above the line, we are not alone. And when we know it, right, it's like, oh, right, oh, there's a bird. I forgot to look at birds. Or, oh, I'm part of nature. Or, oh, here's my friend. Like, we know it. We naturally come back into connection and contact. And this is very generative. This builds energy. It generates energy, and it allows for a healthy rebuilding body response and activation. That's where that stuff happens, is here. It doesn't happen here. You cannot be in a stress response and a healthy rebuilding response at the same time. So to really kind of lean into that context again and again of it's just not good for us, no matter what, to start to remember that, okay, how can I support my own body, my own being to get out of that stress response? Because it's hard on a person. So meanwhile, anybody have any questions or comments about that before I move on? Have you noticed your own stress response? Oh, I don't know if you can tell, but I got sick. I have a cold. So I'm sure it has to do with that. There's other things that have been happening, but I'm sure that I helped my immune system get worse. So I was stressed.
Well, I know that I've been more tense, easily to get upset. And I was watching YouTube every day to see what was next. And so I've actually got your book on Audible. And so when I go to the gym, I listen to it. And so I've been listening to that instead of getting on YouTube.
Way to
And
go.
it helps. It helps a lot. So I have more of a positive thing instead of the negative. So
And I would say, like, stepping away from the YouTube, like, oh, there's all of
yeah,
that pulling towards threat brain says, no, it's important to stay on top of that. And so it's like, oh, but what if we don't know? Versus, okay, we can willing to step away and getting the bigger context of life, even though it can be so compelling.
yeah. I need positive. So I've got to
Yeah.
get away from that negative and try to get up on the upper half of the
That's
goals.
right. Upper half.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just want to create space. Marge, do you want to, anything you want to? I just was looking at you. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, um, I don't know what to say, Jules. Um, I can't, I know if I start talking, it won't stop. We are in we're in legitimate danger. You know, that's where I'm at. I go, we're in legitimate danger. And so I feel like that's what I have to do right now, survive. And I don't think I'm kidding myself. Do you see, you know what I mean? I think that's why I go, you know what, that book was great for before, but now we're in danger. So and I don't, and I feel self-conscious because I go, wait, didn't we cover that last week? And didn't we do that the week before? And how come you're not
Yeah.
remembering this
Again,
shit?
that's
I
why
go,
we're meeting.
yeah, because, and I know that I could stop reading stuff that makes me know I'm in danger. And I want to know the enemy, you know, like I know I'm using fight metaphors now. I go, because
Right.
we're in danger. Do you know what I mean? And the tipping point ain't ready to happen. It ain't ready. We got 20 years. You know what I mean? I believe that. And I know that it's just belief. And I go, yeah, but I'm in danger. And so, and I don't want to enroll y'all in that belief system. I just go, being afraid today is appropriate. Just like it's appropriate if I was on a trail and I met a bear. I go, it's appropriate. I'm having an appropriate fear response. And there's no way I'm going to talk myself out of it. So, and by the way, you know, I don't want to believe that. That's why I show up on Wednesdays too, but that's where I'm at. It's like my system keeps kicking out all of this other stuff that I could gaslight myself with.
Right. And so one part of you says this is true, the rest of that is gaslighting. Anything
Well,
else is
I'm using the strongest word possible.
sure.
I
Great,
absolutely do
great.
not feel gaslit by anyone in here.
Oh, thank you.
I don't want to magical think my way out of I know that I'm not physically in danger. I don't feel in danger physically. Major, you know what I mean? I'm not going to get deported. But if I do feel connected to everybody, then I'm horrified for those who are. And I don't know what this country is going to look like. Maybe I'm economically in danger. Actually, that's true. I feel economically in danger. I'm ready to cry. And I don't think this is an inappropriate fear response.
Yeah, let me say for the record here that going back to the inner map, if you can imagine all of those states of consciousness, they're all adaptive. They are all adaptive. I would not say at all, like just to flash that stuff up. It is distracting. I'll get the other one later. But anyway, every single one of these shame and guilt and despair, every single one of these responses makes sense and is necessary as a mammal. So I'm not at all trying to say, no, this is all that's true. This is not true. We have bodies, and our bodies are interfacing with this three-dimensional world. And some of the time, me going into despair is absolutely adaptive for my own being, or sadness or fear, or all of it. But also this too. So to imagine this is also adaptive. It's not just the reactive responses that are important. These are also built into us. They're built into every single mammal. So to not see these as just sort of like kind of hokey, cheesy things that we get to do on, I don't know, whichever days, some holiday thing, but these are just as important and just as adaptive. They're necessary in our being. And I think we can under stress those and think that this is all we need to walk around in this world. And we can forget or not even notice that these are very important to our functioning as mammals. But yeah, no way would I be saying, no, you should be scared. I don't. Everybody gets to feel, anybody gets to feel anything, anytime, for any reason. And so here in this context of these calls, just know that if I'm staying in one of these or all of them, whatever, it just means some things. It means that I'm going to be in narrow focus. It's going to mean I'm in stress response. It's going to mean I'm going to disconnect from myself and other people. It's not, this is bad, but it does lead to some important ramifications that it's not good for us over time. Now, again, I'm not trying to argue anything like anybody out of their feelings. I am saying, wow, if and when we can access these states, we are supporting our best functioning, our optimal functioning as humans.
Jules, thanks for those reminders, because it's like it digs in, it gets in and it gets integrated bit by bit by bit. Sometimes you vary the way you say it. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it. You know, it's like, oh, this lens and um and then honestly, one more sentence and then period. The next thought I had was, you know what, Jules, you're right. I'm gonna get above the line and I'm gonna make better choices for me because I am still surviving. You know what I mean? It's the whole team human thing is just such a bridge I can't cross right now. So
We
anyway,
knew it was aspirational.
Yeah.
Marge is talking about the ninth step on this from the book. The ninth is I commit to team human. The 10th step is what's my creative action. But the ninth one, that's a big deal. And we went back and forth because, as some of you know, but don't know, Marge edited my book. And so we were discussing that, whether or not that was even a good idea. So I said, let's get it out there. Like I aspire to it. Doesn't mean I'm doing it today, but it does mean I aspire and I bring it back into my consciousness. But what if but they really are on my, oh, geez, but I don't, oh, these people are like, oh, this is my family at this Thanksgiving Day. Oh, God. Like, oh, this is my, oh, it turns out the 8 billion of us, it is the, I somehow am part of this species. It's weird, isn't it?
ChatGPT wants it too, Jules. One of those was totally pointing to that, I think, the leadership line.
Yeah. Yeah. So leaning towards evolution and then potentially, I mean, my projection is that, wow, at least half of our country said, no, I'm not ready for that yet. It's like, okay, it's not actually that much of a surprise if I think bigger, like go back to David Hawkins, 75% of the world lives in reactive brain. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot. But I didn't want that to be true. I wanted to be 100% of us were in creative brain all the time. Like, oh shoot.
I have a question about that. That resonates with me. And I caught myself being like, cool, everyone who voted for Trump must be living in reactive brain. And I think I want to challenge that in me, but I don't know how to. Like, I just can't reconcile it or make sense. And then I'm like, do I have a belief that there are people who justified this because they feel like they're leading with love and being in joy, and like it's hard for me to understand that. And I think I have a belief that like if I can open myself up to that, then that is a pathway for connection and understanding. But yeah, so I even you said like at least half the country, and then quickly like with reactive brain, I'm like, yeah, like that's what I think. So I'm just trying to reconcile it because there's something nagging at me saying like, if it is team human and it means like I can understand or believe or accept or celebrate that there are folks who are really living in love and joy and connection. Oh, I know that was like hard to me to say, even too.
Yeah. Right. So my own bubble, I don't know and people enough to know that. But yeah, let's find some. Let's find some and have that conversation. Don't know how to do that, but yeah, absolutely. I'm certain that that's true. It's hard to go there. I can't, my mind can't make it make sense, but of course, of course.
You know, can I add on to that? Bill Clinton was on Steve Colbert last night, and he said, generally Republicans are divisive tribalism. We're an inclusive tribalism. I was like, yeah, that's still the fight model. That's still the tribal model. So
Right.
anyway, I just thought that was timely.
Yeah. So easy to go there. Well, and I totally wanted to win. That's the fight model. It's hard to go back and realize, oh yeah, I totally was in that self-righteous pride thing, and we're gonna like it's fun, wasn't it? Well, let's do a little SCWing since I said perhaps we would. Suzanne, would you consider doing that with me? Just walking through. I don't know if you still feel terrible. Can we help you feel terrible? So
Oh no, I'm okay.
Oh.
I'm like Marge. I'm scared of
Okay.
his choices
Uh-huh.
are completely off the wall. He is not considering the people. He's only thinking of himself, and it terrifies me. You know, I'm on Medicare and Social Security, and I don't know what's going to happen. And so it's very, very scary.
So is it
You
all right
know?
if I walk through a process with you about that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you being willing. Thanks for being here. So the process SEW. So we're starting with sensations. When you talk about this, what sensations do you notice in your body?
My chest feels tight and I get a knot in my stomach.
Great.
I'm tensed up, the shoulders, yeah, all of that. And I've been getting headaches some, but I think it's mostly just your stress and the hopelessness, you know?
Okay.
Yeah.
And so a lot in here. And then do you have a headache right now?
No.
Okay, great.
No.
So not the headache at the moment. And so as you tune into this place in your stomach, but why don't we start here? Does this feel like mad or sad or scared?
Scared.
Scared. So that's really clear. And how about your
Mhm.
stomach? That is that also mad, sad, scared?
A little bit mad, more scared. I'm just really, really terrified.
Really terrified. And that's what you said at the beginning. Mm-hmm.
We have a crazy person running our country. It's horrible. I mean, that's just how I feel about it,
Oh, sure, sure, sure. So, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to lean back towards and with this process. So you're scared, and then letting yourself actually notice I'm really scared. Now you've told me that, like, so I'm catching up, like really scared, and then letting yourself kind of lean into your body's sensations. Like for you, what's the perceived threat or danger? What's the scariest thing?
Um, well, I am worried that we'll get bombed by a different country
Mhm.
because he's irrational. Um, I'm worried about money, you know, Social Security, but I'm also worried about how much things cost because tariffs, that's not going to help us at all, you know, not at all.
So
And
is
I
your
realize that's just my opinion, but I I did payables, receivables, worked in accounting departments for 15 years. His first term when he was president before and he did tariffs, my first thought was, don't do that. That's very, very bad.
don't
So,
and
you
so
know,
now, and what I'm doing with this process is separating out what is arguable from what is unarguable. Now, it doesn't
okay.
mean the arguable stuff. I mean, you worked in that, like you have really good data to suggest you would be right. So I respect that. And then now coming back to what's unarguable. So letting your body actually feel terrified, like, okay, right up here in the, I'm really scared. And then also to lean back into, so what I'm scared about for myself, like what's the bottom line? Like money, like I won't have money. Like what's really scaring your body? What's the perceived threat or danger here? What's the scary thing that could happen? We could be bombed.
Well, change is always scary. And I think that's probably a lot of it.
Oh,
Like, when you're young and you're working and you don't have any money and it's hard, and then you get old and you have a little money and it's much better. I really don't want to go back to that,
and so
you
what you
know?
said about change is scary. So I feel scared about this change.
Right.
So how about letting your body be scared about this change? And thanks for speaking that, because that gives us all some time to be scared about this change and to breathe into like, oh, okay, we the unknown and because I don't actually know. And how is that for you, Suzanne, as you're letting yourself notice, yeah, I feel scared about this change, these changes.
Well, I've been scared before. I'll probably be able to work through it.
And do you notice anything different about this place or your stomach as you're
Oh,
letting?
yeah, it
Oh,
is. It's
oh,
easing up.
right now.
Yeah.
So right now you actually are letting yourself feel it and it's easing up. This it's a wonderful process because it's like our body got our attention, like, hello, scared about change, scared about the unknown. Like, oh, but now that you got the message, maybe you don't have to walk around in that.
Yeah.
So it's easing up. Any other sensations that you're having?
Well, you kind of feel like you want to cry all the time.
So right now you have that impulse to cry.
Well, not so much this very minute, but I walk around during the day
Hmm.
feeling hopeless and having that feeling that I just want to cry.
Just want to cry.
Yeah, it's
Now, since you're not feeling it right now, we're just kind of speculating, but I wonder for you when you have that wave, oh, I just want to cry. What's the loss for you? So I just call it sadness. And so what sadness says there's a loss? What have you lost?
personally, it's I'm more worried about my family
Mhm.
because they're younger. I've already been through the 60s and 70s. I went through that, you know.
Mhm.
I've been through life. I've been ups and downs. I know I can survive all kinds of trials, but um, I worry about my family, and that's what makes me want to cry is
Uh-huh.
I don't want my grandsons to have to fight. I don't want my great grandson to grow up in a horrible world.
Yeah.
I want them to be happy and have the same opportunities that I had.
Mhm. So you get that
So,
wave through like, oh no, what's going to happen for them? And even I think
mhm,
humans, we do this interesting thing of grieving ahead of time. Like we
we
don't know
do.
anything that's what's going to happen, but I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to grieve all the things that are possible. So yeah, so you can imagine that world like Michael was talking about. It's easy to kind of go there and kind of go to the worst case. Now,
Mhm.
for humans, there's this idea that we default to the negative. Our brains kind of have this whole system that goes there, just because there's our little reactor brains, scanning for threat all the time. Yay, thank you. Except for how it's really makes life hard sometimes. And so, Suzanne, as you're in your body right now, how are your body sensations?
Um, my battery's running low.
Oh, okay.
Um, I'm doing, I have this ability from all the stress of life to just buck it up and try to hang in there.
And
I
can
try
you,
to,
knowing that
yeah,
your battery's going down, is this, you said this is eased up, and how's your stomach doing?
it's not as, it's eased up.
It's eased up. So letting
Yeah,
yourself feel the fear, the terror. I mean, that's the bottom line here, y'all, with this process is, oh, I get to feel this because of course I'm going to feel it. The
yeah.
issue is, do I get stuck in it? And Suzanne, oh, you're going to go plug in. Yay. Because my last question, and then I'll go broad again. My last question is for you, Suzanne. I wonder what you really want.
I would like a government that doesn't call movie stars to the I'm sorry. I was watching Ru- Colbert, Steve Colbert. Yeah, I watched him today.
Because if you had that government,
But
what would you get?
well, it could be a little more calm. I
Oh,
guess no matter what, it's always a little stressful.
hmm.
You want a government to work right, but the only thing I do is vote. I'm not joining anything else. So I try not to complain too much.
Well, and so to just complete this process, so we get sensations and then we get the emotion and what's the message and then what do you really want? And what I hear is you want calm.
I want calm. Yeah. I want to be
So
able to live my life, you know.
so then coming back to this whole concept, it's not out there, it's in here. And because I'm guessing you've shown us a couple times, Suzanne, you actually know how to create calm. You generate calm yourself. And that then you
Yeah.
don't have to wait for somebody out there to do it because, even if they told you how to do it, you'd still have to do it. Like, oh, wait, that's going to be me. If what I really want is a sense of calm or peace or any of that stuff, even just neutrality, I mean, that's the bottom line of this call here is, well,
Yeah.
probably I can do that versus it's going to come out from somebody else.
Well, I've been seeing Hannah for about 2 years. So we've been working on that a lot.
Great. Way to go.
So
Way to
that's the only reason I come across that way, because I've
Well,
had her to help me get that way.
so you've done a lot of work on that. So way to go. Look, it's paying off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's been a long, long work.
Bye, Michael. Thanks. So thank you, Suzanne, for being willing to do that for us. And then let's just find a way to wrap here.
Okay.
I had not scheduled, I'm going to be out of town next week, and it's right before Thanksgiving. However, with this call, I'm thinking maybe we'll want to have a call next week anyway. So is there anybody on this call that would want to meet next week? It's the day before Thanksgiving in the US. So give me a thumb up or down. Yes, yes. Okay. So I'll plan to do that call. It might be from Michigan, but that's fine with me. I'll just put that in there. And so I'll send that out again as a reminder. If you haven't registered, it's a little tricky. Well, that's how I'm reminding people, but the time and you've got the Zoom link, so you don't need to be, if that's all you need is that. So anything from anybody else before we end? I want to express my appreciation to you all for doing this and being arm in arm with me, because this helps me so much to I teach it, I can remember it. I do want to say to folks that if anybody wants extra coaching, extra support, that we've got trainees who are willing and able to support you for a very no to low fee. So if you want more than that, you could email evolutionarypower5@gmail.com and tell us, and we'll connect you. I'll connect you with folks. Anything else?
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah, thanks you all for being here, and Marge, thanks for showing up even each time when you're like, and then yeah.
I worry that I yawn through the whole thing, y'all. But I know I'm just releasing, and it's why I tend to stay off screen. But it really is. I get that I'm releasing. So anyway, I just want to not have to worry about yawning in the future.
Yawn away, yawn
For the release sake.
Yeah, release it, baby, release it. And as my own last 1 minute here, editorial. I would have enjoyed having a female president of color. That would have, a whole part of me would have relaxed. That's not what's happening. So it's like, okay, there's the feedback, right? That to me is me still being part of the old system, thinking that if I had won, things would have been better. Who knows? My mind says that. But I really think this is not that time, y'all. I think this is what we're doing here. That's my Substack blog. If you want to go there. This latest one was, no, really, this is what we're doing here. Like, this is what we're doing here. That if you came into a body now, it's to do this heavy lifting of getting what's really true, and then re-energizing yourself from your own power. So thanks for being here with me doing that. I think that's as powerful of an activism step as we can do. So way to go, y'all. All right, I'll see you next week. Okay, thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.